All right, hey guys, it's Rija and Padma. Welcome to
A very special episode.
a very special episode of
I
the
don't know about
Mustang.
special, but
Oh, it is
Yeah.
special. It is
Yeah.
very special.
Yeah. Oh yes, you probably heard him already. Yes, this is another special episode of the Mustang Studios podcast. We have a very special guest with us today, which is our very own principal. Yeah, would you like to introduce
Well,
yourself?
hello. I'm Mr. Fobert. I'm glad to be here. I saw you guys doing a podcast in here the other day, and I was really interested in it. And I said that I'd love to be on your podcast sometime, just answering any kind of questions that you had of me.
Yeah.
A lot of students we have burning questions to ask.
Great.
Yeah. We do have a lot of questions from fellow students, and they would like to know your answers to these questions. It will also be shown on the student news as well, the questions, and we also posted an Instagram story and had people ask their questions there as well.
Great.
On our club Instagram at MHHS Mustang Studios. There's a lot of questions.
So can I do a lightning round of questions at this point? Okay.
I'm ready.
All right.
I love questions.
All right. The first question we want to ask, how tall are you? Everybody wants to know.
I know, that's literally probably one of the first questions people ask me. And quite frankly, complete strangers in a store will always come up and somebody will ask me how tall I am. So I am 6'10".
Oh.
So that's a little over 2 meters tall, 2.1 meters tall. And I'm freakishly tall is what I like to say.
So the next question is, why are you so tall? Or the right question would be, does it run in the family?
Yeah.
So that typically is another question. When somebody asks me, how did you get so tall? Usually my answer, I will look at them very honestly and say, well, when I was a kid, I drank giraffe's milk.
Sounds like a reasonable answer.
No, but it does run in the family. My parents are tall-ish. My dad's 6'3" and my mom's 5'10". So, it's a little bit taller than the average, but I do have cousins who are super tall as well. I'm the tallest out of my own, even extended family. The next tallest is my mom's cousin who's 6'9". So.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Has your height ever been an inconvenience for you?
The world was not made for 6'10". I'll tell you that right now. So hitting your heads on doorways, not at school because they're taller than normal doorways. Mm-hmm. But I can't get on some rides at Disneyland because I'm too tall. I cannot get on almost every ride at Six Flags because the little shoulder harnesses don't come over my shoulders. Cars are hard to fit in. And so I don't know if anybody knows, but you see me driving my little car around. I've had it for a long time. That little Scion XB looks like a toaster on wheels. And I fold myself in half to get in there all the time. So it's definitely a challenge being 6'10", but there are definitely some benefits to it as well. When you are at Disneyland, you can always find me in a crowd.
It's like finding a coconut tree in a field of bushes.
Yes, that's correct. That's me.
What about airplanes?
So airplanes, I don't fit in a standard seat. So I have to purchase a second seat usually. So that I can turn sideways and my legs go in the others. I know it's kind of embarrassing, but there are some airlines that have policies that if you don't physically fit in the one seat, they give the other seat to you for free. So I just figured that out recently. So yeah.
That's very convenient.
It is convenient. It's very nice of some of those companies to do.
So why did you decide to become a principal?
I've thought a lot about that over the years. I think one of the reasons why I wanted to become a high school principal was because of my own high school experience. I didn't have a great high school experience. I was always tall. By the time I was a junior in high school, I was already 6'9", and I never played sports. So you can imagine the kinds of reactions I would get from both students and faculty. And it wasn't nice. I was bullied a lot actually as a student. And so I had a fairly difficult high school situation. And I remember thinking through it all because my parents are both educators. My dad's a retired superintendent. My mom's a retired teacher. And then my mom's parents are both educators as well, both retired educators. I kind of always knew I wanted to be an educator, but I really wanted to be a high school principal, a high school teacher first is what I was. I was a music teacher and a social studies teacher. And then wanted to become a principal because I felt like I'd love the opportunity to kind of like set up a school where there's a culture of acceptance and, opportunity for people to find their passion at school and really follow that. And that's what I've tried to do here at Mountain House High School is really like create all these programs and places for people to belong, and really, have fun during high school as opposed to feel like coming to school every day. I know there are students that come every day and feel like they hate it here and there's nothing for them, but we try really hard to find opportunities for any student in any kind of interest that they might have.
I mean, the biggest challenge would be trying to accommodate everybody, right?
That is the biggest challenge. And the other challenge is, it's hard being a teenager. Stuff happens, people make fun of you, you take it personally, it can be really difficult. And if you don't share it with other people and really connect with a caring adult on campus that you can talk to about it, it can make it really difficult. For me in high school, it was my high school choir teacher who's retiring this year, and I still keep in touch with even to this day. I graduated in 1994. So the fact that I still have contact with that one teacher who was my person really made the difference for me in my life.
Yeah, that's the great thing about having those types of connections as well. You get to talk to people, and that's what we usually do on the podcast as well. We talk about a lot of things that we relate to, so it's nice.
Well, I'm glad. I mean, this is one of the examples, right? Your teacher here in the media arts pathway saw a need and has the equipment and set it up and taught you how to use it. And here you are, right? Like interviewing the principal. Yeah. And it's just fun, right? Like it's something that's enjoyable to do.
Yeah.
So our next question is, why did you theme the school like it's Hawaii? What is the reason behind the Hawaiian theme?
Everyone asks that. Everyone thinks like, is he Hawaiian? What's going on there? So I actually did my undergraduate degree, my bachelor's degree was at BYU, Hawaii. So Brigham Young University has 3 different campuses, one in Utah, one in Idaho, and one in Hawaii. And why go to Idaho or Utah if you can go to Hawaii, right?
Fair, okay.
And so I also have family members. My one of my mom's cousins married a Hawaiian man. And so my cousins are half Hawaiian. And so I have a connection to the Hawaiian culture. When I lived there, I learned about what ohana really means, how it connects us with one another, especially some of the language in the Hawaiian language. For example, the word aloha has 2 parts to it. One, which is alo, which means in the presence of, and ha, which means breath or life. And that word in itself really means like sharing your own life essence with other people. And I always felt like I said before, I had a difficult high school experience, and I really wanted to create an environment where people felt that aloha, right? Like being with one another, connecting with one another, being an ohana, being a family. And what that really means is it's kind of trite to say, but the movie Lilo and Stitch where they say ohana means family. Family means
nobody gets left behind
or forgotten. Right? Nobody gets left behind or forgotten. And so, I really believe that. I believe that as we create that, and language matters to me, like the words you say to other people and how you treat other people really helps them understand how you care for them, how you really want to be a part of their lives. And so that's kind of why I themed it that way, just being educated in Hawaii. We gave all of our kids, those of you who know my children who go to school here, my first daughter has a Hawaiian first name. Her name is Melani. And all of the other kids have Hawaiian middle names to kind of keep that connection to the culture. We talk about that in our own family and how special that is to us, and how we learned that culture really is a part of us. And a lot of people would say, oh, you're just culturally appropriating. I don't believe that I'm culturally appropriating. I believe that I really took on that, honored that culture. And I do have family members of my own who are part of that culture and really took that on and made it a part of what we do here at Mountain House High School.
I mean, with the concept of cultural appropriation, I think nowadays it's really hard to distinguish what is cultural appreciation versus cultural appropriation. Like me personally, for example, when I see people eating like a lot of Indian food, I think that's great. Like, please take this culinary experience with you, because we have lots of great food, lots of wide varieties for like vegetarians and like non-vegetarians. You have everything from like all these wonderful like chicken dishes to fish dishes to like completely like vegan dishes that don't even incorporate like the use of tubers like carrots or even like mushrooms.
Right.
We have wonderful options, and I want people to like experience it. But then other people think it's appropriating. Like, no, it's just food. Everyone wants good food. Like, I want you to enjoy good food.
I think that you would see at the Fobert house, if you were to come across the street, because I live right across the street, and see what we eat at our house, people would be surprised. It does not look like Caucasian people food, right? I think that we eat a variety of foods too, and part of that is not appropriation, but it's really appreciation and incorporating a lot. And it's not just, it goes beyond food, right? It goes beyond that, and I really love the rich culture that we have here, the celebrations that we have. I know our Muslim students and their parents came to serve us food during Ramadan. I think it's a great, tradition, and the religious aspect of it is. So I appreciate the values that are taught through that, and food is one way to share that. And really taking on some of those pieces of that culture helps us become better as a community, right? We're able to, there's so many people at our school and so many different backgrounds. And the more we can incorporate those things and the ideas behind it means that we're not appropriating, it means we're appreciating and incorporating it into our own experience.
So back onto the topic of school related stuff.
Yeah.
So a lot of kids want to know, what do you exactly do as a principal? What do you do on a daily basis as the principal of the school?
That's a great question. So I think that really when it comes down to it, so I'm the founding principal of this high school. So one of the things that we did when we started the school is I really work hard to try and put together a teacher leadership team who really embody the goals that we have for students here, and can kind of help put together and drive the goals that we have for students. So as a principal, so if you want to talk about on a daily basis, what do I do?
Like emails, like emails.
Okay.
Like,
so I'll give you some maybe facts and figures. I get maybe about 180 to 250 emails a day. From teachers, parents, outside organizations try to sell me stuff, things like that. And I have to weed through those. I have a wonderful secretary. She is my right hand. If you want to know who really runs the school, it's Glenna Kiswani. She's my secretary because she makes things run. The other things that I try to do on a regular basis, I greet students at the gate every morning. And so do all the other administrators. It's a priority for us. You'll see me out front saying good morning, probably making really bad dad jokes. Today, the joke was, hey, I turned the wind down for you today. How do you like it? And it's fun to watch other people's reactions to that. So greeting people, being visible as much as possible. I think the other thing that we try to do on a regular basis is provide feedback to teachers according to the goals that we have. One of the things we're really working on this year is good first-time teaching in every classroom during every period, and it focuses on 4 things. It's teachers communicating what the objective is. So you'll see in classrooms the SMO, sometimes you see that, standard and measurable objective, so that it communicates what you're doing. Every time there's a lesson, that there's a hook or a lead into the lesson where they're connecting what happened before, what you've learned before, to what the learning is today. Some sort of strategy that engages students during the class period, and then checking for understanding on a regular basis. So when I walk through a classroom, a lot of times you'll see a principal or a vice principal, a lot of times walk into a classroom and you're probably wondering, like, are they watching my teacher? We're not watching teachers. What we're doing is we're providing professional feedback for teachers and giving them that feedback on a regular basis to make sure that we're meeting those goals and expectations that we have of ourselves to make sure that students are learning. Some of the other things that I do that are kind of more boring and mundane is running data on what's going on, like who's at school and who's not, and who needs to be followed up with, working with the vice principals to make sure they're, doing their things and their responsibility. That you guys, there's so many things that go on in high school every day, just every one day and the day of a high school. It's like running a small city. And so there's a lot of decisions that I make. People come to me with questions. Hey, what should we do with this? And it's really trying to keep everything that we do focused on better results for the students that we serve and providing an atmosphere where people can connect with the things that they're passionate about.
Okay. So I think some of these questions could get a little uncomfortable at
I'm
times.
okay with that.
Okay.
I love uncomfortable questions.
A disclaimer.
Okay.
Why is the school lunch so bad? One of the actual questions that we got from students. We'd like to know the thoughts.
That's great. I think that school lunch being so bad, that's an opinion. Mm-hmm. I think some of the things that they serve are not great. I wouldn't eat it. That's a good question. I think that we have a food services director. Well, first of all, the federal government tells us what we can and can't feed you. Did you know that?
Oh, the more you know.
So like, when we have nacho day, I love nachos. I don't like the chips they serve here because they taste like they're stale, right? Mm-hmm. It's because the government forces us to use whole grain stuff in our everything. So like the burgers, even like the buns have to be whole grain buns.
Oh, the buns are okay.
Yeah.
It's the nachos that I'm more particular about.
Right. So I think the chili's pretty good. I just don't like the chips. So a lot of it is the federal government tells us what we can and can't feed students. I think that some of the meals are pretty decent. Like I love Chicken Bowl Day. And I like what's the new sandwich they do? That pesto chicken sandwich is pretty good. We used to have some really good stuff. Like they used to do a curry once a week. Yeah. Back in the beginning of opening of school, it was really good. So it just depends. I think that part of that is opinion. The other part of it is we do have a food services director, and she is absolutely open to feedback. I think it'd be cool to get like a focus group together and try some new foods and see what we could bring.
Yeah. One suggestion that I actually have, I think there should be maybe like more vegan options in the school food, because one time when I tried the school food, I could only like get a salad box.
Yeah,
and there wasn't much variety.
I would agree. I think I enjoy vegan food. I'm not a vegan. I'd like to say though that like if I had the time in the day, I would become vegan because I kind of prefer it, and meat kind of hurts my stomach nowadays. I'm getting old, and meat and I don't agree with one another. But yeah, I think that part of it is probably a cost thing.
Oh yeah.
Vegan foods are definitely more expensive, and there's a certain budget that we have, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't be offering more. I think it'd be fun to have like a focus group come together and talk about, well, what could we serve that people would eat?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? Majority of people would eat.
I also noticed, like, I'm vegetarian personally, and I noticed a lot of people tend to go more towards the vegetarian foods, and then since they have a bunch of like meat options, there's like chicken sandwiches, you have the burgers, the cheeseburgers, and then you have all the salads I noticed have like chicken in them, which is not that great, because
you could have like a tofu option or a meatless option. It would be I agree. We should have better food.
Okay. Why is the school Wi-Fi bad, and what is being done to make it better? One of the more genuine concerns that a lot of students have is the Wi-Fi is, dare I say, atrociously slow at times.
It can be. So I think part of that'd be a really great question. In fact, I think it'd be really fun to have like a podcast where you talk to our IT director. He's a really cool guy. And Sean Yohannan. They're working, well, first of all, there's a certain bandwidth that we have purchased as a school district, and there's plans in the future to increase the bandwidth as we go along. When we first opened, we didn't need that much, and now that we have more students, we need more. And you can imagine, at the school at any one given time, especially, so there's two different networks. There's the guest network, which is atrociously slow on purpose, actually.
Oh.
Yeah. So we've assigned Chromebooks to everyone, and the Chromebooks can access the academic network, and that network is definitely faster. But the problem is you're accessing the faster network with Chromebooks, which can be slow as well. So the guest network is open, but there's a lot more limitations on it. There's a lot more blocked, and they purposefully slow it down so that the academic network can be faster. So those people who use their own devices on campus and they're using the guest network are definitely getting a slower signal on purpose, because we need to have that available for the academic network. So if you want to have it be faster, use your Chromebook, because the guest network not only has personal like MacBooks and Windows devices, but like every phone on campus that links to the Wi-Fi network is linked to the guest network. So that's why. Yeah.
I mean, I kind of I had to start using my personal one because I had to use like the Adobe Suite, which can't be used on the Chromebook.
Right.
I can't download Photoshop on the Chromebook, so I had to start bringing my laptop pretty much every day.
I think it would be fun to actually talk to the director of IT and have kids ask specific questions just about the IT network at school, because it's really interesting what we actually have. And quite frankly, our network is head and shoulders faster than any other school anywhere, believe it or not. Public schools are pretty notorious for having really bad Wi-Fi and speeds. Ours is pretty up there with the speed of the networks, believe it or not.
Well, I guess that'll be something interesting for people to take in, I guess. I mean, a lot of students have asked us, like, we've got a lot of comments in our Dropbox, like, please tell us, explain to us why the Wi-Fi is so bad. And like, I don't know.
I wish I could tell you, but I'm not an IT guy. I'm the principal. So the IT guys are the right people to ask about that. The little I know is that I know we have a certain speed now, and that there are plans to upgrade in the future.
Okay.
Especially as we grow.
So another burning question that people have is, why is school so long?
Why is it so long? You mean like the day?
Yeah, the school day, as in like from 8
First
o'clock
period to
3:30.
Seventh period.
Yeah.
I feel like it's not longer than when I went to high school. I've never been to a high school that, I know some surrounding high schools, like in Tracy and Manteca, might have shorter school days, but they also don't have options for a 7-period day. Most of them only have 6-period days, which cuts back on the number of electives you can take, like media arts, like culinary, like biomed, and you take that 7th period away and you lose that. I would also say one of the priorities that we have at this school, you guys probably know, is success, and the opportunity for teachers to intervene with students who aren't performing well. That's a priority for us, and all the educational research shows that you have to embed that intervention into the school day to make it impact students. Now, not everybody takes advantage of that. It's our kind of promise to students and parents that we require students to participate in intervention, even though they decide sometimes not to follow up with that or not go. But there are consequences to that. And then, unfortunately, those of you who might have watched the presentation about the new bell schedule for next year, the state of California has decided to create a new law that school cannot start until after 8:30. So we will be going from 8:30 to 3:45 next school year. We're keeping the 7-period day, and we'll have Thursdays and Fridays will be block schedule days. And the cool thing about Fridays is every Friday you'll get out at 1:45.
Every Friday?
Every single Friday of the entire year. So that'll be nice. It'll be shorter, at least on Fridays, right?
Yeah, we're actually seniors.
We're seniors.
Oh, shoot. Well, everyone else will get the benefit of that.
Well, at least in college, you get to choose your own class day. So that's
You
fun.
do, yeah.
That's
And I would suggest when you go to college, take note, all seniors, please do not sign up for a class that starts at 7 a.m. I did my freshman year in college, and I failed that class because I forgot to go all the time or just slept in.
Yeah.
At least 8 o'clock mornings have conditioned me to wake up at least at 7.
Yeah.
At least.
Right?
Actually, our next question was success related. So
Okay.
a lot of kids are asking, why is success attendance counted in Saturday school attendance, and can't they move it to something else?
So success is an academic period during the school day. And all students are required to either sign up for an intervention or extension session with their teacher, or for extended lunch to account for where you are. The state makes us account for where students are every period of the day. And a lot of people think success is just an extended lunch period. It is not. It is actually an academic period. And next year, we're actually moving it, because you'll see when you get marked absent for success, it shows up in 9th period. We're moving that to 5th period. So we'll have an 8-period day, and 5th period will be success, so that everybody understands it's actually an academic time during the day. So if you choose not to show up to success, or you don't sign up for anything for success, it turns into a legitimate cut, like a absence for that period. And our policy at the school is if you get to 6 absences, it equals a Saturday school. So that's basically what it is. It's an absence when you either don't sign up or you don't show up to your success period. And that's why it ends up being Saturday schools.
So what about extended lunch periods then?
So if you signed up for extended lunch period, then you don't get marked absent. But you have to be eligible this time. Some people aren't eligible because of grades usually. But if you are eligible for extended lunch and you don't go into Flex Time Manager and sign up for anything, then it turns into an absence. So everyone, listen up. Make sure that you sign up for something. And if you don't have a teacher's place to go with a teacher, make sure you sign up for extended lunch period, and then it doesn't turn into an absence.
I actually remember when we were freshmen, so it was like the 2018-2019 school year, success was actually optional. Like you would just go if you just wanted some help, and then other than that, you can just go to lunch.
It's funny that you say that, because it's never been optional, but people thought it was.
Oh.
So success, we count those minutes of instruction every day. So I don't know if you know this is kind of boring, but the state makes us have 64,800 minutes in school for the school year. And we have to count every single minute of every day and prove to the state that we had at least that many minutes. And so success minutes are counted in that calculation. And so it's always been required, but I think from the very beginning, the message never went out that it was, and it is, and it will always be.
It's an oddly specific number.
It is, isn't it? It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I don't know why. 64,800, and I don't know why I remember. I know why I remember it, because I have to calculate it every year.
Mm-hmm.
So we always come in about 1,500 minutes over, and we like to do that in case there is like an emergency where we have to like cancel part of a school day because of a power outage, because we don't want to have to come back for another day once the school year is over.
Okay, so you mentioned Saturday schools. There was actually a question about, can I graduate with Saturday schools?
Yes, we're not going to not let people graduate. They may be prevented from doing some of the end of the year activities and things like that. This year, because it's been COVID and it's been really weird, as long as people, even if they have I think there's only 2 Saturday schools left now. So if they have 10 Saturday schools left and they go to the last 2, we're going to call it a wash, right? We're not going to prevent people from going to end of the year things. But if they're You have to realize a lot of people who have these Saturday schools that they have like severe attendance issues and they cut class all the time. So, if you've got too many left and you can't serve them, then we're not going to prevent people from going, but they need to attend the last couple of ones to be eligible to participate.
So I guess we'll deviate a bit from the school related stuff.
Okay.
So what happened to the dance playlist and why is it the same every year?
It's the same.
It is the same.
At the dances?
Apparently.
Yeah.
We don't have a dance playlist. So there's not like a list of songs that we say, here's the songs you have to play. But we do have expectations of our DJs. And a huge expectation is we're not playing songs that have profanity in it or racial slurs or talk about drugs or alcohol use or sexual innuendo or anything like that. So
keeping it school friendly.
Keeping it school friendly. So it's hard to find, because I know like popular music right now, a lot of it has some really inappropriate themes.
It's a big no-no.
But it's just like, you can imagine like, sure, students would love that music to be played. And then when the parents hear what's going on, and there are some students, so some students love that kind of music, and that's fine. I'm okay with people listening to whatever music they like. But when it's for public consumption, you don't know what people's morals or values or how it's going to impact them or their life experience and how maybe some of those themes might be really triggering to them. And so we really have to talk to our DJs and make sure that they're playing music that's not inappropriate. And then a lot of times people will say, well, just play the song and play the clean version of the song. Well, the clean version of the song a lot of times just has the bad words taken out, and the theme itself is inappropriate for school consumption. So my answer would be, I really want people to come and have a fun time dancing. And you can have a fun time dancing to just about any kind of music. In fact, I love it when they put music on that's like in another language, or this sounds weird, but I love Bollywood music, even though I don't understand what's being said. I love the beat. I love it's energetic. I love a lot of Latin music. I was a music teacher, right? So I love jazz music. I actually toured with a jazz band to Australia and Samoa when I was in college. I played at a big, huge festival where we closed out the festival, and they did fireworks to our closing song that we played and things like that. So I like all kinds of music. Personally, I really don't appreciate music that denigrates women, that talks about drugs or alcohol, that is misogynistic, that has foul language. It hurts my soul, I feel like it, and I feel like it's not appropriate for school environments. And I would rather have upbeat music that we can all have fun. And then if you want to go listen to music later, that's fine. But there is no list of here's the songs you have to play. But we do tell the DJs that they need to be really careful about their song selection.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll just do a little personal questions. Okay. What is your favorite color?
Blue.
Favorite movie?
West Side Story.
Oh, is it the new one?
No, the old one.
The old one.
I haven't even watched the whole new one. I started watching it and I was a little disappointed.
Oh.
It wasn't as I don't know. I'm old school.
Okay.
But it's good. The old one is my favorite.
Okay. Favorite animal?
The elephant.
Favorite food?
Vietnamese food.
Least favorite food?
Oh, I don't think I have a least favorite food.
All right. Favorite number?
7.
Least favorite number?
Ooh, 0.
Okay.
It's not really a number. It's the absence of a number.
True. So one of the other questions we got was, why do we not have brunch anymore next year?
Because I don't want school to last until 4:00. Do you?
I mean, we're out of here.
Would you? No. So if we kept brunch, we would have to go till 4:00, and 4:00 is like a mental block for me. I can't get there. I feel like I can handle 15 more minutes, but I can't handle 4 o'clock.
So there was like no way to squeeze it in.
The only way to squeeze it in would be to reduce class periods, and 48 minutes is already really, really short for teachers to get through an entire lesson. So we'd have to go down to like 43 or 44 minutes a period. And it's just, I feel like you can't get into anything. I mean, talk to your teachers and ask them if they want less time in their class periods. I don't know. Some might tell you yes.
So what do you like to do in your free time? Any hobbies or interests?
So I love reading, and really anything. I love reading, things about education. My favorite genre is historical fiction. I love historical fiction, and I like me a little, like Harry Potter. What's the vampire one?
Vampire Diaries or
no,
Twilight?
Oh. I love one of the books that I read recently that I really, really love is Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
What?
It's one of the best books.
It's like a crossover from Abraham Lincoln.
It takes all the things that happen in Abraham Lincoln's life and like tells you how all of those. He had a tragic life, right? So it takes all those tragedies and it makes it so that it was vampires that like made his life tragic. It killed his mother.
Why did Abe have a terrible life? Vampires.
Yeah, and so he became a vampire hunter. It's awesome. It's the same author also wrote the book Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. It's a similar kind of, it's a retelling of the same story.
How to explain
with
any world
zombies.
Tragedy.
It's kind of cool.
It's either zombies or it's either zombies, aliens, or vampires.
Yeah. Another book that I read that I thought was really cool was Assassination Vacation. And it's a historical book. She's a historian and she talks about how she goes on this cross-country trip to visit all the places where presidents of the United States were either assassinated or attempted to be assassinated. It's very interesting. Yes, I know, kind of weird, but I love stuff like that.
It's fascinating.
The other thing I do in my free time, I spend a lot of time serving in my church. So I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, otherwise sometimes known as Mormons. And that takes a lot of my time. But I've worked in the past with a Boy Scout troop that was attached to our congregation. And I've worked with young men in our congregation as a young men's leader and gone on so many camping trips and whitewater rafting trips and things like that. I have 7 children of my own. So my 2 older ones are graduates of Mountain House High School. I have 2 here at the high school and 3 more in the K-8 schools who will eventually come through Mountain House High School. So lots of time is spent going to basketball and soccer and swimming and football and all kinds of stuff like that. And then the last thing I would say is I'm a musician. I like to sit down and when I want to decompress, I'll play the piano or I'll sing. I sing in church sometimes. I enjoy singing. I don't know how pro I am at it, but it's something that I enjoy doing.
So you said you have children here at the school.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever feel weird having like kids to go to the same school that you're the principal of?
I think they feel weird having me here. I think that it can be difficult sometimes for my own children. It's less difficult for me than it is for them. I think that they get left out of some things because you can imagine like, oh, don't tell them that's the principal's daughter or the principal's son. So it's not weird for me. I actually really like it. Them being able to stop by when they need, an ibuprofen because they've got a headache or, they need help with something. It's kind of nice to be around. I really like that.
Oh, and there's also like a fun question as well.
Sure.
Wait, where was it? Oh, can students get rides on the golf carts around campus?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well,
We'll leave it at that.
Story. All right.
People ask all the time though.
Well, it looks
I mean,
fun.
if they're in a hurry and they're like almost late to a class and I'm sitting on a golf cart, you can hop on. Mm-hmm. But not regularly, no. It's not a shuttle service.
Maybe it should be $5 per.
I know, right? That's a fundraiser.
supposed to?
Yeah. Should we just ask one last question?
All right. I want to know personally.
Sure.
How do you feel about enchilada day?
How do I feel about enchilada
Enchilada
day?
day.
I don't know how do you feel about it?
I love enchiladas.
I love enchiladas too.
All
Cheese enchiladas are my favorite.
All right. This one, a friend wanted to know also.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Give me all the enchiladas with extra cheese.
Yes.
And guacamole and sour cream.
They may not taste great, but it's still good in my heart.
It is. It's comfort.
It's not
food.
good for my heart, but
no,
frankly,
it's absolutely not good.
I don't care. It's good.
Exactly.
Another question that I think we got was, would you rather work at the district office you were working at previously or continue to work here at Mountain House?
If I had to say something about it, would work here forever. I really love Mountain House High School. I say that it's my last and most demanding child. But I love being the principal of the high school in the community where I live. I like being friends with your parents and impacting the lives of students right here in Mountain House. And it's been nothing but it's hard work. And sometimes it's really hard to be the principal of the place where you live because you almost never get a break when you leave the front door. But it's rewarding, I would say, to be a member of this community and to be fortunate enough to help lead the school in a way that benefits our students.
So I have one question that's not exactly the one that we've, kids have submitted to us. It's a personal question of mine.
Okay.
How do you feel about Ingenuity, the program as a whole?
I'm not whooped about it. When we first took it on, it was a really good tool. As we get more mature in what we're doing with online education, we've realized that it's not the best tool. They don't update it very frequently. There's some really old stuff on there that I'm not happy about. And, I think once our contract is up with Ingenuity, we're looking to see if there's something better. What I would say is we have to have something. We've actually talked to teachers about, hey, how about we develop our own online curriculum from our own teachers as opposed to purchasing from the outside. And we've kind of kicked that idea around. There are also some other products out there that are similar to the Ingenuity product, online courses that are way more high quality than what Ingenuity is. My own kids take Ingenuity classes. So my daughter's in 2 classes this year. My son's taking 1. And they're just okay. I mean, you're going to learn something from them, but they're not super engaging. They were made 15 years ago. And so, some people at this school weren't even alive 15 years ago. So not super whooped about it. I'm very excited about our online and hybrid pathways where you can take either all online or just some online, because that's unique. Not many schools do that anywhere. We're one of the only ones in the state of California that does that. Most schools, if you want to go to online classes, you have to pay for them somewhere else or go to a completely different school.
This question is actually a bit opinionated.
Sure.
It's asking, why are you so strict with your students? You were a principal. You were supposed to be more fun.
I don't know. That giddy up partner was my idea. I think that's pretty fun.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry I'm not fun. I don't know. I think I'm a pretty fun guy. I don't know. Here I'm I'm a pretty fun guy. I don't know. I'm sorry.
But you try to be.
I try to be fun. I've done the pie day before. I'm never going to do that again. I got whipped cream in my eyes and I wear contacts, and the fat from the whipped cream got on my contacts and it was foggy. I couldn't see anything. So wouldn't do that again. But, I like to have fun. Maybe some people think I'm not fun, but I try to get out there and tell some stupid dad jokes and all that kind of stuff. I'm sorry. I'll bring some, I have thought there's a couple of card games that we play at home that are really fun that maybe I'll bring a card game one day and say, come play with me. Sorry. come play card games with me at lunchtime, or I don't know. Give me suggestions and I will try and be more fun. I'm not really good at coming up with fun things.
Dropbox, this is your
Yes,
time to shine.
Dropbox. Please tell me, and I
Give
will
us
not do a flip
suggestions.
off of Niagara Falls. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Remember that one time?
Yeah, the
What?
first student news.
Yeah, they said, "Oh, tune in next time when Mr. Fobert jumps off and does a backflip off of Niagara Falls." I'm not going to do that, but I'm down with some fun stuff. I was out playing volleyball the other day on the quad, and I'm down for some fun.
All right, I think
There could be like lunch with the principal, or
Yeah.
I'll play volleyball with the principal
Yeah.
events or something.
Hey, if you ever see me sitting out like eating my lunch during lunchtime on the quad anywhere, come sit down with me. We can have a conversation. Maybe conversation can be fun too.
Jeopardy with the principal.
Ooh, I love
Playing
Jeopardy. It's one of my
board
favorite
games.
TV shows.
Oh,
Do you watch Jeopardy these days, or do you watch any TV shows?
Yeah, I watch Jeopardy. I have it on my DVR. What else do I watch? Ugh, you guys are going to think I'm a total nerd. I watch Call the Midwife.
Never heard of the show.
Mm.
It's a
Never.
PBS show.
I don't watch reality TV.
It's not reality TV.
Oh,
It's
okay.
it's like historical fiction from Britain.
Close to the
Anyway,
circle. Or...
Call the Midwife. What else have I watched recently? I binged something the other week. I can't remember what it was that I binged. It wasn't that good. Oh, it was the Amy Schumer.
Netflix special.
Not the her special, but it was like it's a new show that has like 8 episodes or something like that. But
Oh, Amy Schumer is apparently a very hot topic on the internet.
she's hilarious. It's inappropriate humor though, so do not take the parents. I didn't tell your students to watch it because it's probably not appropriate.
No, I hear a lot of people saying that Amy Schumer is just not funny, and she does a lot of joke
Yeah.
stealing and like really like offensive jokes.
Yeah,
That kind of.
it can
mean,
be. Yeah.
I mean, you can do offensive jokes, but they still have to be in good taste.
Yeah. So I take that back. Don't watch it. It's a horrible show. I did not binge it.
Okay. Okay.
No, but what I do watch a lot of is cooking shows. I love, especially, again, you guys are going to think I'm a geek. So there's a YouTube channel that I subscribe to. It's called It's Michelle. And she doesn't even speak English. She speaks Korean, but there's subtitles in English.
Mhm.
And she's just like she's like a housewife in Canada who she's also a chef, and she like shows what she cooks her family every day. And I'm like addicted to that YouTube channel. In fact, she went on vacation recently to Korea, and she hasn't posted for a couple of weeks. I'm like, come on, Michelle, you need to post again.
Wow.
But I love Korean food. I love Vietnamese food, anything Asian food. So,
We
yeah.
tried Indian food yet?
Oh, I love Indian food.
Right.
Absolutely. I cook Indian food sometimes. I found this recipe one time on a YouTube channel for some sort of curry that had chickpeas and spinach, and I think it's called chana palak or something like that. I don't
Chana
know.
palak, yeah.
Yeah.
It literally just means chickpea and
spinach, yeah. But it had like coconut milk in it and ginger, and it was really good.
You should try South Indian cuisine.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
And I literally will eat just about anything. I don't like European food that much. I don't like a steak. I don't like mashed potatoes and gravy. Give me some rice. Give me some, curry or some sort of sauce or anything like that, and I will eat it. But please don't give me like boring white people food. Sorry, that's probably racist. I don't want to come off as racist.
Oh.
I don't know. I mean, apparently Northern Europe has like Sweden, Norway, that entire like sect has really good like desserts and stuff.
Yeah, not a dessert fan.
Oh.
I really like anything with lots of like spice and different flavors and things like that. And European food's okay. I'll eat. It's not like I won't eat it, but I don't prefer it. I would absolutely, like if you find me eating lunch, I'll probably eat some ramen with like vegetables cut up in it and some curry paste in it and coconut milk and stuff like that. So I'm a much more adventurous eater than just the bland meat and potatoes kind of guy.
Mostly add salt, hopefully, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Should we also like talk about? We actually saw this video. You were rapping this song.
Yeah, your old
From an old high school.
Yeah.
From Amador, yeah. Yeah, I did that. So the kids kept bugging me and saying, "Mr. Fobert, you got to rap, you got to rap." And I said, "Here's the deal. If you want me to rap, you have to write it. You have to be the one to come to me to record it, because I'm not writing a rap and I'm not dropping the beat, but I will rap for you." And there are students have come to me multiple times here and they say, "You should do it here." And I said, "Okay, here's the deal. You write it, you drop the beat, and you come record it. I'll do it." But nobody's ever taken me up on that. So
maybe not.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting, students. Come on, Mustang Ohana, come up with your rap.
Yeah, he's done
suggestions
it
in the Dropbox are always
I know,
welcome.
right? You have a great video production program here at the school who could like do the music video, but nobody's done it so far. Come on, step up.
All right.
I think is that about it? Yeah, any of the burning questions?
I think we've covered all of them.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, pretty much
Thank
all
you
of them.
for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's been great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, actually, before doing this, we were actually a bit nervous, but now we feel a lot better.
That's good.
Now that we've been talking to you, so
Yeah.
it was
Well,
nice.
I feel like if students get one thing out of listening to this is that I'm seriously approachable. I think sometimes people think tall people are just scary because they're big, but I'm not a scary person. If you have a question, I'll sit down and have a serious conversation about any kind of question you have, whether it's a hard question, an easy question. You can fire off just simple ones like you did earlier. And I'm pretty open to share just about anything with anyone.
Right. I think that about concludes this episode.
Yeah. Again, if you have any questions, you can email us or send it in the Dropbox. Follow us on Instagram for updates. Mr. Fobert, do you have an Instagram? If people want to follow
Or a TikTok.
you.
as people use
I have an
TikToks.
Instagram. It's at Ben Fobert.
Okay.
Okay.
It's
All right.
easy to, I'm not hard to find. I have Facebook too, but I know that's for old people.
What about a TikTok? That's what all the kids these days use.
I do have a TikTok. I've never posted on it and I never have really used it. So I don't even know what my handle is on there.
No.
I have a Twitter, but I don't really use that either. I basically use Instagram and Facebook. So, and I don't post much. So you can follow me, but you're not going to see anything.
All right. All right. Yeah. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and add our podcast to your Spotify playlist. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much.
Thank
for
you.
coming, Mr. Fobert.
No problem.
It was nice.
All right. That's
Thanks.
a wrap.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, that's a
Bye,
wrap.
folks.
Bye.